In the next 3 videos, we will be looking at creating audio effects of increasing complexity. There are many types of objects in Max. One type we will be using at the core of our following Max for Live devices are MSP objects, which process incoming signals at audio rate. MSP objects are distinguishable as they have a tilde symbol at the end of their name. In this video in the Max for Live programming series, we're going to build a device which can degrade audio bit depth. Let's start with a Max for Live audio device in an audio track and open it for editing. Add a degrade tilde object to our device. You can see from the degrade help file that this object can be used to modify the bit depth of audio. You can force extreme changes on the bit depth, like making the audio 8-bit or 2-bit, which gives it a very crunchy sound. Let's sum the audio inputs to mono at the input of the degrade object. The second inlet lets us set the sampling rate of the degrade object as a percentage of the current audio sampling rate. If we're running audio at 44.1 kHz sampling rate, then a value of 0.5 at this inlet will produce audio which appears to be running at 22.05 kHz sampling rate. We'll use a live.dial object to set the sampling rate. Connect the output of the dial to the second inlet of the degrade object. Use the object inspector to change the range to 0.1 to match the arguments of the degrade object. Note that we also need to change the unit style attribute. Choose float from the pull-down menu. While we have the inspector open, let's change the label for our dial. To do this, we find the short name attribute and click the value column and type the words sample rate. Let's also change the long name. Let's save the device. Now let's add a UI object to control the bitrate of our audio output. We can see by hovering over the third inlet of the degrade object that we'll need to send an integer value that represents the bitrate of our audio output. We'll be working with bitrate values in the range of 1 to 24. We'll add another live.dial object to set the bitrate. Connect the output of the second dial to the right-hand inlet of the degrade object. This object should work in output values in a range of 1 to 24 to match the bit range of the degrade object. Let's label this live.dial bitrate. Let's control the output level of this device with a live.gain tilde object. We're going to add this to our presentation and present it in a horizontal orientation. We can set this while we're in the inspector, naming the object. Connect the outlet of the degrade object to the first and the second inlets of the live.gain object, and connect the two left outlets of the live.gain object to the left and the right inlets of the plug-out object. If we put this device on a new track, the parameter values will have defaults which are pretty extreme. In order to give this device a useful starting state, we can set the initial values of the parameters in the inspector. Let's do this in the object inspector. Let's choose some initial values. We'll go with 1 for sampling rate and 24 for bit depth. This way, when you instantiate your device, it won't blow up your speakers. Select the two live.dials and the live.gain and add to presentation. Let's finish up arranging the look of this device in presentation. Set the patch inspector to open in presentation mode. Save the device. And now we're all set to create our very own 8-bit mixes.